We spent most of the day working on smalls, trying to get caught up and get things primed and painted that will be on the exterior and interior of the car. All of the little trim pieces, the paint dividers, glove box, ashtray. Come around in here. All of the chrome, anything that had any pitting on it that is going to be getting sprayed with the KBS Hot Rod Black. I had to sand down, get all the pitting, everything off of it, and get it ready for some high build primer. Most of the window surrounds were in very good shape. I had a couple little dents I needed to pound out, but other than that, most of this stuff is ready to go. So I am going to go get the gun out, mix up a nice big batch of primer, get this stuff sprayed, start hanging it over on the hood rack, and Amy's just going to keep feeding me these parts, and hopefully we'll get 90% of this stuff, other than the brand new stainless and a couple pieces of trim that I need to modify yet, in primer and ready to start spraying. The first load of KBS Satin Hot Rod Black is now done in the booth. We've got a lot of the interior panels done and a few of the exterior trim parts that we're going satin black with, as well as like the glove box and extrusions, that kind of stuff. I've got a few more pieces out here that needed a little more work. One of the front door and back window pieces, and then we are taking this brand new stainless that was nice and pretty and shiny and going over it with a Scotch-Brite. I did a test piece to make sure that the primer and that Hot Rod Black was adhering to it really nice, and it is working beautifully. So this should be really easy to do and get those all satin black, and then we're going to go back, I think, and add that white, because that's what the roof and the back panel is going to be. So that's going to look really cool. What the hell are you doing to that brand new freaking stainless trim? Alright, so because the 210 top trim on the bottom edge of that windows on doors is so hard to find, and the ones that we can find are just ridiculously expensive, I did find a full set, but it was on a 4-door over in the yard, and believe it or not, this car was completely destroyed. Like, there is nothing left of this car but the trim. So all but 3 pieces were absolutely perfect and came right off. This one has a small little dinger right there I'm going to take care of. This one has a dinger right there that we're going to do a little hammer and dolly work on and straighten it out. Shouldn't be an issue. And then this one, which might actually take a little bit of work, pretty good dent in there. But we are going to be painting all the trim black. Even the brand new stainless, we've already taken a Scotch-Brite to it, and we're blacking that out because the rest of the car is going to be bare steel. So we really want this trim to pop. So I'm going to get that banged out best I can, and we'll go get it fitted on the car. I need to, because there's a separate piece for each door on the 4-door. So what I'm actually going to do is extend the one piece on the front door, and then extend the back door piece as well, and I'm going to actually weld this on, because this is that seam where the back of the door goes. This is the little back quarter window on the 4-door, and this would be where the door jamb setup is. So I'm gonna actually weld those two pieces together, get them cleaned up and beautiful. All right, so we've got a bunch of blocks of this steel. I'm gonna see if I've got a thicker, like 1/2-inch piece, but I'm gonna take the flap wheel and actually grind this curve, this profile into that, and then I can use this on my vise, set this on tap, and just slowly tap it and get it how I want it. And then I think if I can find a thicker piece of metal, I'm gonna do the convex curve so that I can flip it upside down and hammer some of these really deep ones out from the inside out. So we'll go see if I can find another one of these and move on. I am not finding another one, but in my searches, oh yeah, look at that. A 3/4 inch double D shaft is very similar. Oh yeah, that'll work freaking beautifully. So I think I'm going to tap this out just on a flat piece just to get my curve right, and then I'll use this in the vise. Well, I'm going to start with this monster one. I'm a glutton for punishment, but I like to do the hardest stuff first, because then everything else is easy. Look at that. Gotta love stainless. Just likes to be the shape that it was. Yeah. Alright. Now if you look at it, pretty much everything in there is a little high now. Better. I think I still want to use my, this was a good thought, it's a good start, but really need something that's going to get into the corners better. Couple coats of primer. This thing will look brand new. And like I said, since we did the hard one first, these will be much easier. Alright, so these pieces are all ready for primer as soon as I get them fitted. So we're going to take these, tape them up to the side of the car, and figure out which pieces, and I've got the other 3 pieces in the other room, we're gonna weld together, cut, and get these things spliced together so that we've got trim across the lower windows to tie the paint dividers and stuff on the 55 together. And well, you'll see. All right, well, here is the idea. Get up a little closer and walk around this bike here. So I've got these laid out where they go, and you can see they're the 4-door parts, because there's the split, which would have been the back of the rear door, which would have run all the way to here, and then this piece would have done the front door and gone all the way to the edge, and then there would have been more trim to go around the window. So we are doing rubber trimless gaskets for the windshield. So I'm going to weld that piece to that piece nicely and grind it smooth. And then I'm going to cut it here. And then I'm going to take this piece and round a point on it and have it weld to this piece and go right there. So first thing I need to do, I've got this one marked, and then I left it a little long because I want to form it and bend it over so it has an ending like the other side. All right, I trimmed these pieces up in the bandsaw, got them fitted perfectly. I'm getting ready to weld those together. And then I got a good start with the end over here where it's going to bend it over where it meets up with the door. So let's get that welded together, all cleaned up and ready so that we can get it scuffed and painted, and I'll start working on the front pieces. There we go. And if I wanted to actually polish this and make this a usable piece, I could have TIG welded that and smoothed it out with the file and polished it. You'd never know, but since it's getting painted, this is perfectly lined up, straight, flat. Put a little bit of filler into those cracks, prime it, and this piece is pretty much ready to go. All right, this is side number 2. And I took the bandsaw and cut the angle where I wanted and tapped the cap back over. So we'll weld that up and sand it smooth. And then I cut the cap off of this side. Then this is the piece that's going to be the point at the end to kind of wrap this up, so that'll get welded on here. Since we used the bandsaw, it's nice and perfect. So I'm going to take the bandsaw, cut this point off, and then I think what I'm going to do is take that piece of double D shaft and make the shape that I want this point to be, and then I can just hammer this piece right over that. So that'll be the next thing I do, take this freaking flat wheel and start shaping this piece over here. right, so the trim pieces are finished. This is the passenger side. Run right along here. It's already clipped in. And right along to the back. All right, here is all of the side trim. We got all the body work done. It is in primer, but I wanted to get it laid out on the car because we have no holes in this door or quarter panel for this stuff to go on. So before it gets painted, I wanted to get it all lined up where it needed to be, and other than the belt line molding, nothing else is actually clipped into place. But we did all the measurements, got everything set right where we want it. So I'm gonna grab the old scratch awl, go around, trace it, and we'll figure out where the holes need to go. It has been a journey up to this point, but every single stitch of the body is now assembled on the car, lined up, gaps set where we want them. And Golden Star did a beautiful job putting these pieces together. Very, very minimal fitment on everything. You can see where it's stripped down to metal right there. That was simply for welding and getting the quarters on. We patched up the piece where the rocker and the quarter meet, so that's a nice smooth joint instead of that big ditch that they normally have. And then had a little bit of a fight with this front quarter, but we did get the gaps on that thing where we wanted them, and it is ready. So the entire front half of this car and the lower half of the quarters back here is going to be bare steel. And if you look down the sides, it is nice, straight, and flat. So that will be beautiful. Stripped down to steel and just covered in a clear coat from KBS, their Diamond Clear. The roof, on the other hand, I am going to DA down, and that is actually in pretty good shape. And then we've got a little bit of body work to do around this deck lid in the back and around the tail lights. But this section from the trim up on the quarter panels, this deck lid and the roof will be getting painted white. So we'll have that two-tone effect. But yeah, I am going to start taping up windows. I'm going to go upstairs, get the old tail lights, so I've got something to make sure everything fits nicely with and we're not ruining the new ones. And start getting this thing ready for paint. most of the body work is done. Amy is running around and just filling up some pinholes and getting that stuff ready to go. We will show you all of that once we get the car all cleaned up. But I ran around the bottom that is going to be bare steel with the wire wheel and cleaned all of the e-coat off. These doors in the front end we're gonna do later, but I just want to get the body ready to go. So I've got the burnisher out. I'm gonna give it a shot and see what this is actually going to look like. Okay, well that was like super energizing and like really makes me want to get the rest of the car done now because this looks freaking amazing. I'm gonna come grab the camera and bring it over here and get a closer look and just gotta put your glasses on so you don't pay attention to this stuff. Just look at what I'm looking at because damn, it looks amazing, and the couple of welds that I had in there are completely gone. So I'm gonna get you up a little closer. Got to do the whole other side yet, obviously. But yeah, look at that thing. That is going to look so cool, buried in clear next to the white. It almost, I was thinking it was going, it had like the stainless look to it. But now that I see it in this light, almost looks like the whole thing is made out of aluminum. Then as you come across right here under the door was where that weld seam was that I had, and that has completely disappeared, like right there at the bottom corner. Completely gone. So let's go ahead and get the other side done. Get this thing wrapped up and get the top half of this thing into primer because now I'm getting excited. All right, we have skipped ahead a little bit from the last video because we have been doing nothing but sanding. And if I sound extremely enthusiastic, it's because I've been up till 3 in the morning the last couple of days, painting, priming, and sanding with my wife. So any of these shows, videos, anything you see where these cars just kind of flop together and are done in a week, it's because somebody in the background has already spent 300 hours block sanding, primer, and filler. But by the end of the day today, we should have the car burnished down and in white, which we haven't chosen yet, and diamond clear. All right, we've got her out of the booth. It has finally stopped raining and is supposed to be done for the day. Fingers crossed. I got the front driver's side fender mostly burnished yesterday. I just have a few finishing touches left to do. We did these rear quarters before it went in for paint just because there was no way for me to get right up to that edge otherwise. The hood needs to come off. Amy spent most of the evening while I was stripping the fenders getting these lower valance 3 pieces stripped. They had a little different e-coat on them. We had to use a paint stripper to get that stuff off, so that was fun. But I did get all of the paint off of the passenger side fender. This is pretty much what it looks like before it gets burnished. This is just dirty metal after the wire wheel stripped all the e-coat off. So when you get back to it with the burnisher, get all of these stuff looking nice and pretty, clean this thing off, and then we definitely need to clean out the paint booth and put new filters in and get this thing in for its clear coat. I cannot wait. So just in case anyone was confused at what frickin' cool looks like, we spent the other day till 5 in the morning getting everything frickin' burnished and polished and perfect. The white sprayed and all of the KBS clear coating on top of this car. There's like 3, possibly 4 in a few spots coats of KBS clear on there. They recommend 3 for like marine or for metal surfaces. So I think we should be pretty good. So while that thing is curing and getting ready and sitting out here looking pretty, we're gonna get all the E-coat stripped off these doors and off of this hood. The top of the doors need to be primed and painted white, and the trunk lid needs to be primed and painted white. So I'm gonna try to get that stuff in today and get the primer done so those can be sanded and painted, and get the rest of these parts burnished and ready so that tomorrow they can go in and get their clear done. So it is headliner day today here at Cool Hand Customs. The 55 is finally going to get the interior covered up and the last big piece installed in it. And it is white. So we are running around, or actually I should say Amy is running around with wipes and making sure everything is completely clean like a surgical suite so that we don't screw this thing up.
The last time we ate off this table, so.
Right. Let's make it happen.
focus.